The Ghost Survivors stories in the Resident Evil 2 remake were DLC what-if scenarios for characters that had a small role in RE2. It didn't take long at all for the DLC pack to be released after the game was just out, so it felt like a neat surprise that arrived sooner than ever. The description we were given was that these would turn out to be what-if scenarios for 3 characters that died in the main story, but here, they'll be given a second chance to survive. That sounded like an interesting concept. Maybe we'd get to play as Marvin Branagh and heal his wounds before the T-virus infection turns him into a mindless zombie. He could probably discover for himself that Police Chief Irons was working for Umbrella, as well as preventing the death of the mayor's daughter, Katherine Warren. So they're gonna do this for 3 side characters? This is gonna be mind-blowing. It might include new short areas to explore, maybe new enemies, new puzzles. It's definitely gotta have its own cutscenes, right? If they can do something similar to the DLC side story we got in The Last of Us, this game will be pleasing every fan that complained about the story not having enough screen time for the side characters. This should redeem characters like Ben the Reporter, Katherine Warren, Sheriff Cortini, Robert Kendo. Maybe his story will be about protecting his daughter and keeping her from being infected. This might just be some of the greatest DLC that any Resident Evil fan could ever ask for. But the end result was a very unexpected one. It was welcomed, but how couldn't it be? It was a lot of DLC for free. The 3 characters we get to play as are Katherine Warren, Robert Kendo, one of Hunk's men codenamed Ghost, and after completing all 3 of them, you unlock a 4th scenario playing as Sheriff Daniel Cortini. But the 3 main scenarios are very similar to the 4th survivor mode, and this is where the problem lies. We already have plenty of copies replicating Hunk's 4th survivor mode. Tofu's mode is literally just the 4th survivor mode, but it replaces Hunk's character model with Tofu. This was the same thing with the original RE2, so it was expected to be pretty much the same situation with the remake version. Then to add even more replayability with those 4th survivor modes, you can unlock more Tofu-like variations. They each have their own weapons and items so that it feels slightly different. Now, in Katherine Warren's scenario, she must reach the jail cells under the police parking lot so she can escape with Ben Bertolucci, the reporter. Apparently they happen to be in a relationship, but it isn't explained, nor can we take it as canon to the storyline, seeing as it's a what-if scenario, right? Perhaps it is canon to the remake story and the 2 of them are in a relationship. However, we would never know that, seeing as nobody ever mentions this. It isn't in the original storyline. Ben doesn't mention this to Leon when he first meets him. It's a bit understandable since he dies like a minute after they meet, but he could have snuck it in with a note he wrote down or by telling Leon that he needed to get out to find his girlfriend. But it's just not mentioned at all. So if it's not mentioned in the story and only shown in a what if scenario, then does the scenario indicate what if Katherine Warren was Ben's girlfriend? See, this wouldn't be a problem at all if instead of a what if scenarios here, we were simply given a short chapter showing the importance of both characters, basically developing their roles, their relationship, and seeing what separated them from each other. It's hard to say what happened since the remake version of Ben the Reporter is not the same as the original version, where he already had the key to his cell and wanted to stay in that jail cell in order to prevent zombies and other creatures from attacking him. Her what-if scenario starts off by showing us that she fought back against Chief Irons when he was about to kill her, and she actually got to kill him instead. I don't like the fact that she easily got rid of him before the game even begins. Why didn't they take this opportunity to make the scenario about escaping from Brian Irons as he chases after her? By the end, the player could decide how to eliminate him before reaching Ben's cell. For example, I would have liked it if once you reach the jail cells, you can either reach the coin machine and get some ammo, a knife, or a different weapon to use against Chief Irons, or wait until he reaches the center of the jail cells, then pull the lever to release all zombies and have him be eaten alive while you rescue Ben the Reporter and escape together. Or does that sound like too much to ask for? This is the same argument I have with the other Ghost Survivor scenarios, but since Sheriff Cortini was killed off by the first zombie that attacked him, I think this scenario should have been given to Marvin Branagh. Mainly because the story would center towards his experience seeing how the outbreak is growing and how the police station went from being completely packed with officers and frightened civilians looking for sanctuary, and I'd like to see how it all led to having the police station completely abandoned with only 2 officers left struggling to stay alive. Sheriff Daniel Cortini has a different game mode. Instead of going from A to B, you stay inside the gas station from the beginning of the game and must survive a mosh pit of zombies, including the new Ghost Survivor enemies, until you've taken down a total of 100 enemies. So it's almost like a survival mode, but in this case it's better because at least you can complete it. I feel like a survival mode would just get boring, and even though people would want to compete with trying to get the highest record of kills, I'm sure that record would immediately reach the highest number it can reach by the first week of its release, and that would just defeat the purpose of trying it at all. I mean, that is how things turn out with the record breakers online. It's very impressive when someone pulls it off immediately, but then that's about it for everyone else. You gotta get creative making your own challenges from that point on. So what would I change for all these what if scenarios and game modes? Well, first of all, they can't be what if scenarios. As much as I love what if scenarios, these weren't executed correctly. They tried giving them each a story in their intros and outros, but the journey feels like Hunk and Tofu's game modes, without the short cutscenes. It's not that we didn't enjoy them, it's fun trying to reach a certain spot while going through tons of enemies, but that's what Hunk and Tofu's 4th Survivor mode was all about. This doesn't feel like you're experiencing all the things that these characters go through to survive. It just feels like you're playing the 4th Survivor mode for all these game modes, excluding the No Way Out scenario. Granted, there are plenty of unlockables. I'm glad they added accessories to add a little extra replayability with these Ghost Survivor modes, but they're only headpieces and most of them are too big to enjoy. It feels like you're playing with the classic cheat code enabling the big head mode. Why couldn't we just unlock extra costumes? You know, something we loved to unlock in the classic RE games. There are a few great headpieces like the ones giving you the appearance of a creature in the game, but it's just not recommended to wear most of them except for the small ones that don't take up half the screen. If you find and shoot all 10 raccoon trophies scattered throughout these scenarios, you can unlock the cat ears accessory, which allows you to have infinite ammo with every weapon. That's what I'm talking about. It feels like a classic unlockable item. I would have preferred if these characters would have their own scenarios which would lead to their inevitable demise. I know a lot of people argue that it's pointless to play as a character that we know will end up dying by the end, but they forget that these side characters are essential to the story. It's thanks to some of them that the main characters managed to get out alive, but most importantly, these characters were there when the outbreak had begun, while our main characters Leon and Claire had arrived after the virus had already spread. So just because a character got killed off doesn't mean that we don't want to know what led to their end. Their deaths were examples of tragedy, betrayal, and sacrifices. They remind us of what could have happened to the main characters if they were in their place. The funny thing is that the Ghost Survivor scenarios gave the impression that we'd be getting a little character development for each of these playable characters. But instead, the characters that do get some character development are those in the 4th Survivor mode. Yes, that includes Hunk, Tofu, and each of the Tofu variations. For example, with Hunk in the beginning of the 4th Survivor mode, you get a very short cutscene showing us that Hunk is alive and just received contact from Nighthawk, the pilot who is willing to go near Hunk's location just to rescue him alone. They share extra dialogue after reaching certain areas throughout the escape, and once you reach the end of the line, you get another short cutscene with a final bit of dialogue, which is a satisfying end similar to the original 4th Survivor ending. Tofu and its many variations may use the same intro and outro cutscenes used in Hunk's run, but even though the pilot uses the same dialogue, each Tofu variation has a different voice and personality. It surprises the hell out of me that they each have their own unique foreign voices, and they also say something when they get hit. I have no idea what they're saying, but if you understand it, let me know in the comments, because I'm sure they must be saying something besides ouch, seeing as they took the time to use different voices for each one of them.
This is Nighthawk. Come in, Alpha. Alpha, do you read? Man, I thought you were all wiped out. I've been trying to... Guess there's no keeping down the Grim Reaper, huh? Relax, Mr. Reaper. I'm headed toward the front gate of RPD. Pick you up there. This is Nighthawk. Come in, Alpha. Alpha, do you read? Man, I thought you were all wiped out. I've been trying to... Guess there's no keeping down the Grim Reaper, huh? Relax, Mr. Reaper. I'm headed toward the front gate of RPD. Pick you up there. This is Nighthawk. Come in, Alpha. Alpha, do you read?
やめろや。あーしんど。
Guess there's no keeping down the Grim Reaper, huh?
久しぶりやで。
Relax, Mr. Reaper. I'm headed toward the front gate of RPD. Pick you up there.
ほな行こか。
頑張るぞ。
Alpha, do you read?
何やねん。ああ、しんど。
Guess there's no keeping down the Grim Reaper, huh?
マジか。よし、頑張るぞ。さて、頑張るで。
Alpha, do you read?
なんやねん。ああ、しんど。
Guess there's no keeping down the Grim Reaper, huh?
よし。さて、頑張るで。
Also, the tone of their voices let you know how they're feeling at the very moment. You can tell that one of them has the mindset of a brave soldier ready to face off against any threat that gets in his way, while others sound scared, confused, and annoyed. And this is what I mean by the fact that every character in the 4th Survivor mode, they're more conduct and developed than the characters who received their own what-if scenarios. None of them speak a word, not a single word of dialogue. Katherine Warren's voice actress was only used for grunts and screams of pain. For her scenario, it's my favorite one when compared to the rest of these extra game modes. Mainly because the areas you go through are mostly the city streets, whereas every other mode has you going through the 3 main areas you explore the most throughout the story. The No Way Out scenario only takes place in the gas station lobby. It's challenging, alright, but if I could take this scenario and do something else with it, I wouldn't keep the players stuck running in circles only in the gas station lobby. I'd rather do something else that keeps the players scared at all times. Think about it. You have a gas station in the middle of a dirt road that leads to Raccoon City. You're playing as the sheriff who's just witnessed victims of the T-Virus attacking. You're limited on ammo. You search around the gas station for survivors, and then a frightened civilian runs into the sheriff's vehicle and drives away with it, leaving you alone in the gas station. Since it's dark and raining heavily, you can't see far zombies approaching. But you got 2 choices. Stay at the gas station and find ways to barricade yourself and wait for help to arrive, or walk into the dark road that leads into Raccoon City. Both options giving you random interferences from zombies, the Cerberus, poison zombies, and palehead zombies. Trust me, with the graphics this game has, and the fact that it's already a frightening experience to walk alone at night by a long dirt road while it rains heavily, it can't get any scarier than that. Oh, wait a minute. See, this is just an example of what I expected from a what-if scenario, but we instead got something very similar to the 4th Survivor mode. They're not bad in terms of gameplay and the replayability. You'll still enjoy them, but if you wanted to see some extra storytelling, then you're out of luck. Unless you enjoy seeing a few speechless film strips showing a scenario that never took place. So, with that said, that's it for the video. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button to give this video a chance to grow. I'd like to thank all my Patreon supporters for their impeccable generosity. Your support means a lot to me, and you are part of the reason why I try to make the best content that I can. And if you like this content, check out the rest of my channel. You'll find more entertainment from separate franchises I like to cover, such as Mortal Kombat, Dragon Ball Z, Celebrity Deathmatch, Men in Black, The Mask, Batman comics, The Terminator, TMNT, Dino Crises, Resident Evil, and more. If you're a Patreon supporter, check out my exclusive videos such as the Gantz content. And if you'd like to show your support, go to my Patreon and support the channel, which is only $1. Sacrifice that McChicken for extra quality content, my friend. But anyways, I'll see you all in the next video, and remember to have an awesome day.